Roster updates going on inside the world of Apex Esports, but not ALGS. A little bit to explain here, and many people are taking this, I think, a little bit incorrectly. So I want to explain what's going on with this roster update with Zachmazer, and then also regional finals coming up for EMEA and North America. Where do these teams have to place in order to make LAN? Because a lot is on the line here. So let's dive into it. Firstly, had to make mention of the E8 Zachmazer GG Bleed joint venture roster that was going on. So many people were confused by this because people saw the announcement and were like, oh my gosh, like what's going on with the roster swaps? Like I thought these guys were, you know, sticking. So let's explain it. Zach starts off by saying, I'm announcing my EWC roster. Note that this is just an Esports World Cup roster, not the ALGS. These guys are not doing like a full-blown roster change. It's just for this event. It's a different avenue, different path, different line than ALGS. And some may argue, well, why don't you use the same roster? Well, obviously the invites were a little bit different. It was based on placements at ALGS Split 1 playoffs. And then also there was a qualifier that went into that. So these rosters were not necessarily intact for Split 2 yet. They were still going through roster swaps. There was a lock for ALGS. There was a lock deadline for EWC. They were totally different. And so rosters got made a little bit different. And then obviously some teams didn't get in time, and so their organization started buying rosters out, and then some just wanted to sponsor. So you're going to see a Bleed, which has their ALGS team, and a E8, which has their ALGS team, sponsoring one another, co-branding this, and then kind of mixing some of the rosters together. So Zach said he was announcing his team, his roster. This was the official announcement that we had, like, you know, about a month ago or so. And then here's the official roster they're going with. So it's going to be Zachmazer, it's going to be Lou, it's going to be Knoqd, and it's going to be Raven. So Raven and Knoqd obviously already on the Bleed roster right now. Lou obviously coming from Complexity, and Zachmazer coming from E8. So interested to see how this one plays out. Of course, Zach and Knoqd have a lot of history back in the, you know, Cloud9 days, years and years ago. So interested to see how that one goes. And then obviously Raven being one of the most decorated coaches right now inside of the ALGS scene. How will that translate over to the ESWC scene? So I'm excited to see how this roster plays out. Of course, a lot of big names playing in this one and a lot on the line, millions of dollars on the line. Don't treat this any different, that it's not important. Obviously ALGS is the official line of tournaments for Apex, but EWC is a big one. There's a lot of money and people are definitely going to be taking this serious. But here was Zach confirming this roster and why they chose the specific players that they did. Roll the clip.
The idea was like, if me and Lou are taking a lot of risk, we want a player that's one, playing the anchor role already, and two, a player that's like not going to take a lot of risk. And we went with Knoqd. Raven really strongly believes that Knoqd was the best player for like me, Lou, and him. And I've played with Knoqd years ago.
Now, while that is going on for the Esports World Cup, you also have some really big games coming up for ALGS, regional finals specifically for EMEA and North America. So someone actually did a really good, I guess, talking point to have here. Where do these teams need to place in order to guarantee themselves into the actual LAN event? So obviously you've got some teams that are already clinched, right? Like your big boys up here, you know, Falcons, Furia, TSM, all these guys are pretty much locked their spots in, and they're going to be safe when it comes to going into the regional finals. Other teams, however, still have to fight their way in. And I do want to say that this graph I'm about to show you is a little misleading, not on purpose, but this is specifically where the teams need to place in order to guarantee a spot. However, it is very likely that some of these teams still get like dead last and still find their way in. Like there's still a chance that it happens, right? So placements to guarantee LAN. Everyone basically has to win regionals in order to guarantee themselves LAN. Besides Team Liquid, they only have to get 19th to guarantee themselves LAN, so they've basically already locked their spot in. KCP only have to get 11th to guarantee themselves in a LAN. That's pretty much a lock, right? And that, because like I said, you could still not place 11th and still get it. So it's very likely that Liquid, very likely that KCP, very likely that Complexity, only needing a 9th place victory to get into LAN. Very likely that all three of those guys are going to make it. Now, here's where things get a little tighter. Moist Esports, 3rd place is needed in order to guarantee LAN. Once again, they still could get 10th and it might be enough, but to guarantee, they need 3rd. Cloud9 needs to get 2nd to guarantee themselves there. NRG needs to get 2nd to guarantee themselves. And I got to say, NRG, while it is technically, I'm sure, possible for them to get dead last in order and still go to LAN, I mean, they need literally everything to fall into place because it's not likely. If NRG does not do good enough, yes, they will more than likely be sitting home. And many people are commenting under this stuff. Like, I still have a bad feeling that NRG is going to miss LAN again somehow. Obviously, this is not the way that the season started. Many people thought for sure NRG started off strong in the Pro League. Like, okay, they're back. They got signed. Things looking good. Nocturnal is looking good once again and in his prime fashion. But then as things progress, now they're barely on the inside looking out, and it is very likely that one of these teams just simply steps up. I got a strong feeling that E8 will be one of those teams that just places top 5 or something, and they do enough to get their way in. So it's very likely, very, very likely that one of these 12 teams will find themselves outside of this top 12, and not all of them will be going to LAN. I would be very interested to see if teams like Oblivion or these unsigned teams actually go, teams that are not necessarily as big of a name. And like Temper, obviously, could they just get first place and go crazy? Do they have a night like that in them? As it stands right now, though, not Moist in the recent scrims still looking consistent. I don't know if we've seen a more consistent team than Moist Esports right now when it comes to scrims. Another win for them. Elevate in second, Yup in third. Take a look at how important this is, because literally all these teams are right there on the edge. Not Moist gets first place in scrims. They're on the edge of not making LAN, but it's very likely that they will. Elevate second place. They're on the edge, but it's very likely that they will. Yup, on the edge, but it's very likely. I mean, these guys are showing up. These guys that are in the top 12 need to make sure they play their best Apex, because it is not guaranteed that you're going to stay here. It is not necessarily saying that all of this is in your favor. However, we need to go back to the original point. Liquid Alienware, Pioneers, and KCP only need 19th, 11th, and 9th in order to guarantee. It is very likely that these 3 stay. So the real 3 that need to be worried are not Moist, Cloud9, NRG. These are the 3 that really have something strong to fight for. This whole middle pack, these like middle 6, they are so interchangeable, and anything is up for grabs. So I'm very interested to see how this weekend plays out. That is literally happening tomorrow. So what a big day for ALGS it is tomorrow. But not only the top 3, of course, you got your big teams doing good. Falcons, SSG, Liquid. These guys kind of already guaranteed themselves there. Temper, not doing bad. 8th place. Can they do good enough to get into that top 12? And I'm actually interested in their storyline, because they're one who have kind of flipped the script over the last couple of weeks. Also, just as we wrap the video up, wanted to let you guys know, FaceIt obviously has been under a lot of flack over the last couple of months. They're not as good, right, as the whole command center that Twitch had. We miss it. FaceIt apparently is getting better. We got this 12 hours ago from the competitive Apex Reddit thread that FaceIt watch July patch notes, new VOD features, multi-view improvements, and upcoming clips features. So many are excited that hopefully FaceIt gets better. I know obviously it's got a long way to go. It's not a perfect system, but hopefully it does improve, and our watching experience for ALGS improves alongside of that as well. Also, wanted to make mention a big event on the uprising. Not only do we have Esports World Cup, now it looks like starting in 2025, Saudi Arabia will regularly host, this post says, the Olympic Games for esports for 12 years. And according to the publisher, it looks like they're in discussions with things like Rocket League, Street Fighter, League of Legends, and more. Hopefully, maybe Apex Legends is going to be involved in that in some form or fashion. But obviously, if you guys have not seen the drama over the last couple of days, it is hard to hope for that at this point. I mean, Hal literally goes on to just simply put it like this: Apex is dying. It sucks to say. People like, you know, his Watson, I can't even play. Like, dude, it's getting so bad. Cheater situation. If you guys are not following my main channel, you probably missed out on a ton lately. Hasn't been a lot of ALGS news, so that's why we've had Slack uploads. But the main channel has had a lot to talk about because this drama is going on. Knoqd interviews a cheater. These guys are saying, like, here's how much I pay. I don't mind doing it. I'm not worried about hardware or IP bans, because everybody like kind of understands that the hackers are just they've won. It's over. They have won when it comes to this department of the game. There's literally like almost nothing you could do, and it's sad because like now you've got the pros tweeting that the game's dying. It's near dead, and you can't play the game anymore. So how is it easy to get stuff going? And you've got Steam charts getting lower and lower and lower. I saw like 60,000 players was all that was playing the game at one point. Obviously, that's like some of the lowest numbers we have ever hit in this game. Now, I did see a lot of recommendations, and one of my favorite, and I really wish that this would happen. I could not imagine how crazy I would go if this really did take place. His and hers came out to say, imagine these patch notes. Apex 2.0 incoming, with Apex being updated to Unreal Engine 5 Plus for the latest on audio and graphics, adding option for solo queue rank trio, so no pre-made teams. The new premium battle pass will include premium servers, which only allows people to basically queue up into those servers if you have that premium battle pass. So it should avoid cheaters because they're not going to spend that much money, I don't think, on the battle pass over and over as they keep getting banned. But maybe not even just that. Maybe just servers with anti-cheat and 24/7 dedicated human monitoring to oversee and ban cheaters. Maybe that would be a good addition. And also adding 2 new game mode categories: beginner mode with, you know, some automated aim tracking, help to, you know, for new players entering into the battlefield, and then expert mode, no aim assisting, raw input, intended for those who have mastered the game and looking for the ultimate challenge. Would really love to see this, honestly. And hopefully maybe one day we do get some stuff. I would like to see tournaments in the game as well, like some cash cups. I know we made mention of this, but you almost can't even do that with cheaters in the game. But I guess if you're over monitoring, you know, and having a live 24/7 dedicated human service to banning people and making sure they don't stay in the competition for cash cups, maybe it'll actually work. But interested to see what your thoughts are on not only the ALGS news, the Esports World Cup news, the roster updates, and how things are looking for the regional finals, the state of the game. Let us know down in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all things inside of the world of Apex Legends esports news. And until the next time, we'll see you all later, Gators.